What's going on, Jeromes? We're back. Happy Thursday out there, everyone, everywhere. Daily Jerome's live stream, 11 a.m. Central Time, Monday through Thursday, talking Vikings, talking nonsense. Carson Wentz to the Colts. Chris Ballard's a friggin' gangster, man. A third-round pick and conditional second that could turn into a first. Wow. Wow. He does it again. And he doesn't give up a first-round pick. Such a gangster. I love it. Got a lot talked about. We'll dive on in. Thanks for coming along. Make this part of your day. Sam, you're selling your skull. What's the status on Everson Griffin? I would love to have him back in purple. One of my all-time favorite Vikings. 12. Well, Everson is a free agent, and he is back in Minnesota. He still lives here. But he has tamped down on the old Twitter, which makes sense. But him going on his tirade of Kirk Cousins' ass. Thank you. We'll see. Although it could be like playing 5D underwater chess, where he's trying to ingratiate himself with Zimmer again, and of course Zimmer, you know. Steve Patton wants the Colts for a third and future second. Compensation seems to be low to high cap it. How would you see this impacting Cousins trade market? Not advocating a Cousins trade at this point. Well, again, I think that the trade comp market was warped because of the Matthew Stafford trade. And we've said this 17,000 times. Stafford is not worth 2 1s, a third, and Jared Goff. Now, the Lions got extra trade comp by warehousing Jared Goff's contract. And to a degree, the Colts really leveraged the Eagles because the market was drying up on teams that would possibly want Carson Wentz. And frankly, I think that the market for Stafford was a lot larger in terms of number of teams that wanted Stafford as opposed to teams that wanted Wentz. I mean, Wentz, Frank Reich, that was really the only connection. Maybe the Bears with John DeFilippo, but yeah, the Eagles, it was clear that they weren't going to have Carson Wentz back, so they lost leverage in that spot. So, yeah, that was probably about what they can get. And now, like, after the Stafford trade went down, it's like, well, if Stafford's worth that, Deshaun's worth 5 1s. No. Still, he's going to get moved for 3 1s, but no. MIT03. Oh, impact on Cousins trade. Well, with the Colts out, it does take away one potential partner. But say the Niners come in, I still think it will at least cost a 1 and a 2, and maybe a 1 in the future too. Probably not 2 1s. No. MIT03. Have you heard the rumors surrounding Keelan Cole? He's a great punt return. Made J.K. Scott look silly, and he's pretty close to Keenan McCardle. Yeah, we got a video on him coming out tomorrow where I like Keelan Cole. We didn't include him in our value wide receiver video because I like the upside of D.D. Westbrook just a little bit more, and also Keelan Cole's going to get some decent money. Like, it's not going to be huge, but if he got like $7 million a year, it wouldn't shock me. Hi, Mo Kukin. I love the video about BPA. If you purely draft on need, you might miss the best talent, and the team will always be good, but not good enough. Yeah, I'm definitely an advocate for late round BPA, but even at the top of the draft, man, unless you have, this is best when you have a team that has a lot of needs all over the place. So you look at Jaguars, kind of good to go, but you look at the Jets. You look at who else is bad. Look at the Lions. Or, yeah, just go BPA. Just instead of trying to groove positions, instead of trying to get drafting for need, just draft the best friggin' player on your board, no matter what. Perp, is there anyone in the first or second round, if we trade back, that you don't want the Vikings to pick? I don't know, Kyle Trask. I don't know. If there is a trade back, I mean, pretty much everyone is on the table. I guess if they stayed at 14, like Morig, I guess, or Jevon Holland, like a safety at 14 is a little bit rich. But other than that, nah. Like anyone who can conceivably go between 14 and 50, I'm pretty okay with. Benyai Catalan. What will have a bigger impact on the 2021 defense? Hunter, Barr, Pierce, Beck, or the youngster stepping up in their second season? It's Hunter. Because the quantum leap from the edge quality from last year, including Yannick the Freak, to Daniil, yeah, it just is the quantum leap. Football Talk US. Hey, Andy, hope you're well. Have you ever been to the Hall of Fame? Living in the Hall of Fame. I went there today for the first time, and it was one of the coolest things. I've not been to Canton. It's on the list of things to do. Brett G. And Daniel Jeremiah's mock, both Pay and Darrisaw are still on board while we take Devontae Smith, considering you've said many times how high you are on both Pay and Darrisaw, specifically for us. Are you really okay with the Devontae pick? Is he really that much better? Yes. Because under all the simulations where we talked about Pay and Darrisaw, Devontae Smith is long gone. He gone. And it would be a decision. I mean, like DJ outlined, there could be a situation in a simulation where all three are available, and the Vikings will have a decision. They will. Jack Boutram. Why does Kirk get so much heat aside from the first 5 or 6 games? He's been an absolute demon. Well, I think part of it is media inertia, where they've just gotten so used to beating up on Kirk Cousins. He's a bit of a goober. He's a bit of an easy target from his time in Washington, and then he got that big contract, so it was easy to throw stones. And I think that fans do like gravitate towards the towards the what's the word I'm thinking of? Yeah, towards the prevailing narrative in the media is like, oh, yeah, Kirk Cousins, always overpaid. Oh, how many times have we heard, oh, Kirk Cousins had never won on Monday Night Football before the Bears game, this year? Nah, how many times? Over and over and over again. Like, no one gets crapped on like Kirk Cousins. And I'm not even a Kirk Cousins apologist. Like, you've been around this channel for more than 2 seconds. You understand that, we like to lean in on the Tin Pot Pizza Ranch dictator. But that's because with great contract comes great expectations, and Kirk has lived up to them at times. Sometimes he has not, and we call balls and strikes with Kirk. But I do think that the media just like, if Kirk Cousins wins the Super Bowl, I don't know what the media will do. Like, all of their narratives will just be flipped. Yeah. Ethan Griffith, Oli Udoh is so underrated. Can we use his big body at right guard? I would like to see it. Because the biggest issue with interior offensive linemen this year was getting pushed around in one-on-one spots. You are not going to push Oli Udoh around, man. Like, probably has the best anchor on the team, and I would love to see him square off against some premier defensive tackles, because I think he'll certainly hold his own. I think he's an underrated athlete as well, and just getting after it. So if you do keep Ezra at a guard, moving over to left guard, which a little bit more premium is put on movement, would make sense. And then plop Oli Udoh's ass in between Bradbury and Brian O'Neill, and let's go. Let's go. Mike Wigg. Imagine Rodgers pulls a Brett Favre and comes to the Vikings. Well, no, because he's not out of contract anytime soon, and he'll probably get extended for forever. So, I mean, he might be like 43 years old by the time he could come to Minnesota, and by that time, no. Madden Mobile Sansom. What does skull mean? I'm not a Vikings fan, therefore I actually don't know. Actually, I don't think most Vikings fans know, because I don't even know. I assume it means like cheers or good health in Scandinavian or Norwegian or something. Chris Danny Hansen. I'm more in favor. Trope. That was the word I was trying to think of earlier. I'm more in favor of getting O-line help at free agency and then drafting Kwity Paye at 14 so we can give Patterson first-round talent. Thoughts? I'm down to the premise. I would actually, so I love Kwity Paye, but if he's gone, I wouldn't mind Azeez Ojulari, man. Even though I said yesterday that I do like defensive ends that have a little bit more size and can hold up against a run like Carlos Boogie Basham, and I just completely shat on guys like Azeez. I freaking love Azeez Ojulari, man. The way that he flipped the switch in the Peach Bowl against my guy Desmond Ridder and Cincy and just took over and destroyed that game. Man. Yeah, his tape all season just... I love him, man. I love him. But O-line help at free agency. So besides the pie in the sky, Trent Williams, Thuney, and Scherf, getting supplementary pieces like Ethan Posich or Austin Blythe, yeah, I'm in on that. Joe Rare. Given the scenario that the Vikes stick and pick at 14, who would you draft at positions cornerback, D-line, wide receiver, O-line? Well, wide receiver outside of Pitts, Chase, Waddle, and Smith, I'm not really keen on anyone else. Like Terrace Marshall, Bateman, that seems a little bit too high. I mean, Kadarius Toney, God, that'd be a lot of fun. If you had to stick and pick at 14, sure. O-line. So O-line, Darisaw, Rashawn Slater, If Penny Sewell like killed 3 people and he was at 14, I would still take him. I mean, he might get acquitted. I don't know. AVT, even though that's a little bit high, that's really about it. I like Jenkins. That's a little bit too high. I like Cosme. That's a little high. See who else. Oh, cornerback. I mean, if Farley or Surtain get to 14, that's an easy selection. JC Horn. Yeah, I could see it. But other than that, no. D-line. So we'll split this up to D-end and D-tackle. So D-end. Pay, yes. Aziz, yes. Rousseau, okay. Phillips, sort of, defensive tackle, pretty much just Barrymore. Yeah. Next up, Tristan Bailey. I'm new to sports betting. Do you have any tips for me? Bet on things that you know. Parlays are for suckers. So, the true odds of a parlay actually happening or the payout that you get are so much shorter than the odds of it happening. So say that the true odds of a parlay is 100 to 1. Like the best payout you're going to get is maybe like 60 to 1. So I get that it's fun. It's a nice little sweat, but in terms of like economics, no. And I get it. Sports betting for everyone should be entertainment. If you're actually trying to make some serious money or if you're putting a significant amount of your net worth on it, no, don't do that. That's advice number 1. Don't bet with anything that you don't feel okay with setting on fire because it should be entertainment. That's exactly what it should be. But bet on things that you know. Bet on things that you're going to watch. Like if you're going to be going to a game or if you're going to be watching a game, I mean, it's always a little bit fun to have a couple of jelly beans on there. You don't have to bet every game. No, that's a sucker's wager. And what else? You can find value. Well, if you're an MMA fan, we've talked about this before, where you can find a lot of value where the general public isn't as in tune with all the fighters, especially ones that are young and coming up. So you can find some value on some MFers coming up, man, especially if it's a household name on the other side where the odds will be skewed heavily towards that guy. Or all the public money will be there, so you'll get great odds on the other side. So look for that if you're into... it happens less so in boxing because there's a lot of sharp money in boxing. It's still being worked out in MMA, but let's see what else. You find value in futures. Like, and by futures, I mean like odds of Team X to win the division or make the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl. So you can usually find some decent value there as the public money sort of shifts things around. Other than that, have fun. Samuel Halverstadt. Trade Thielen for Hurts and some change. Cousins to San Fran for 43. And 12 and 14 swap Waddle. I'm in. Stanley Morris, if William Jackson III isn't retained, you think we should throw some money his way? Keep Gladney at slot, slide Harrison Hand to safety, draft another third-round safety, secondary upgraded real quick. He's going to be kind of spendy. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets more than... I wouldn't be shocked if he gets more than Trey Waynes. So $14 million per. Yeah, I mean, William Jackson's a stud. Toxic Ninx. What's one person you think could fly under the radar during the draft process and become a star in the NFL? I mean, Josh Palmer, Tennessee. So I hadn't really paid too much attention to him when he was at Tennessee, but after the Senior Bowl, I went back and looked at some of his Rocky Top tape, and he didn't put up amazing numbers, but that was mainly because the quarterback position for Tennessee was horrible. Jaron Guantano, or whatever his name is, he's booty. I mean, Josh Palmer, I think Palmer has a chance to be like a day 3 selection, like a 5th or 6th round pick, and make an immediate impact right away, especially a team that has decent quarterback play. Like if Josh, I could honestly see a world where Josh Palmer is a 6th round pick by the Vikings and he ends up being wide receiver 3. Like he's got decent size. Like he's not an all-world speed guy, and there's a ton of track stars in this draft, but he runs competent routes. He's got great hands, and I think that he is going to be an asset right away. So I'm bullish on Josh Palmer. Taishan Jackson from Coastal Carolina, where small school doesn't necessarily have all the measurables, but a guy that just got it done. I think that he's going to surprise a lot of people. Next up, Flet Reacts. Have you heard of Alabama right tackle Evan Neal? Ho, ho, ho. If you have, do you think he could go top 5 next year's draft like some people think? He's a huge athletic freak. Yes, absolutely. So Neal's probably going to move over to left tackle, take over for Leatherwood, and I think that he might be the number 1 overall pick next year. Where he's an absolute crusher, destroyer of worlds. And you'll notice that when Alabama needed a yard in the run game, they would run on that right side. They would run behind Evan Neal's ass. And he's got the size, he's got the athletic ability, he's got the footwork, he's got the length, he's got everything. Like to be an all-world left tackle. And I mean, Alabama hasn't really had that all-world crusher left tackle. I mean, Jonah recently, like Jonah Williams, sure. But yeah, it's been a hot second. Chris Samuels, back in the day. Yeah. Andre Smith. Ha! Gotta remember Andre Smith. Hey, let us know where you're watching from. We'll give a couple shout outs. Stan Lamaros. If the Vikings re-signed Dozier, 3-year, $13.5 million contract, how many tears would be flowing in that Green Bay tears? Like all of them. I might actually quit being a Vikings fan. This will just turn into a memes and trade rumors channel. Because why? Hunter Williams, sup, Skull from Apple Valley. Thanks for great content. Hey, thank you. Do you think Wentz will help the Colts be better in 2021? Well, they were a playoff team with Phillip Rivers. And I do think that Frank Reich can actually get his ass under control. And they do have decent weapons. If they need to replace Costanzo at left tackle, but they got a great O-line, and say they get, well, Darrisaw's probably a pipe dream at 20, draft 21. They drafted in the 20s. No, because it's Washington 19, Bears 20, Colts 21, right? Well, now we got to look. Tankless water heater. Yeah, Colts 21. Yeah, I think they certainly have a chance to be someone pretty solid. Plus, you got Paris Campbell. Plus, you got Pittman. Plus, you got O'Doyle Rules. Plus, you got Jonathan Taylor Thomas. It's not bad. Next up, TL Yang. Actually, all right, so I'm going to try. Saj Lige Yang? I should be a better Asian. When do you think the Vikings will win their first Super Bowl? February. Actually, when is it going to be? February 6th, 2022. Nailed it. Westworld. What was the biggest factor in Kirk Cousins' demise in Washington? Well, what really eroded things in 2017 was injuries on the offensive line. Because Kirk, during his time in Washington, always had an extremely good offensive line. Plus, I do think that Sean McVay, going from Washington to taking the Rams job, I think that certainly precipitated his downfall. So that sucked out a lot of the brain power in Washington. Jay Gruden, yeah. But yeah, the O-line injuries where I believe Williams went down. Yeah, because Ty Nsekhe was in at left tackle. Moses got hurt. I want to say that Scherf got hurt as well. So then Kirk started getting exposed where, I mean, he had put up really good numbers in Washington 2015, 2016 when McVay was there. But McVay leaving and then all the injuries just really compounded things. And, you know, they had been playing the franchise tag game with Kirk because he was tagged 16 and 17. But then, yeah, I think that just cemented it that, well, we're not going to extend you long term. So that's why he became a free agent. Perp. Who would you rather have, Keelan Cole or D.D. Westbrook? Just ask because the rumors of Keelan me. I think Keelan is the safest pick, but he's also going to cost a lot more. D.D. is going to be pretty cheap coming off that ACL. Plus, man, I still believe in D.D. Westbrook. I still believe that he can be that dude at Oklahoma. So, the head says Keelan Cole, but the heart says D.D. Let's go. Let's go. Archangel 88, RIP Vincent Jackson. Were you a fan? I did like Vincent Jackson back in the day. His time in Tampa with Mike Evans, they're sort of twin towers. They were great. Also him back in San Diego when it was Phillip Rivers, Vincent Jackson, and Malcolm Floyd. Yeah. I mean, they were good. And it just goes to show, like, a lot of people have problems and troubles away from the field or away from the spotlight that you don't even know. And it is just really, really sad. Just obviously way too soon. And yeah, he did a lot of good work in the community, but yeah, it's sad. Jeff Mom, how good do you think Jamar Chase would be? I think Jamar Chase, the best parts of Dez, everyone compares like every physical, like 6'1" receiver to Anquan Bolden, but I mean, Jamar Chase is Anquan Bolden-ish, but so damn physical on the outside. He's an absolute alpha. Like, if he pans out at all the potential, could he be Terrell Owens, but with fewer drops? I think he certainly could, because, man, damn, he's good. I mean, that LSU receiving core in 2019 was legit vomit worthy, where you had Jefferson, you had Jamar Chase, plus Terrace Marshall Jr. is a stud as well. Yeah, go up and get it. I think it's just because Chase opted out that people forgot how damn good Jamar Chase is. JMC is an absolute stud. Ben Bauman, could the Lions go Koromora at 7? It would be a bit of a joke, pun intended, but 7 seems a little bit high. Plus, I don't know how you can pass on Micah Parsons if he's on board at 7. Zach Baus. Over the weekend, I watched a docuseries about the high school coach who never punts on YouTube. Thought you might be interested since you know. Also, I've been running for a while. Fully on the Cousin Train 2021. Give him some damn press protection runs. Very excited to see him and young Cubes can do. Keep up the good work, Andy Skull. Hey, OG Zach Baus. Yeah, I saw it. I believe it's a high school in Arkansas, right? And he had played traditionally, and then he got into the math where the expected value of just going for it exceeds punting. And also, I believe he onside kicks every single time. Now, it is really interesting, and it really does get into the challenge of the analytics age versus the old school thinking. And that's the way that we always did things. Is I think it's a piss poor way to approach anything. So yeah, it is really interesting. Plus, it puts a lot of pressure on the other team to know that you're never gonna punt. And because if you get a big stop on third down, it's like MF or we're still bringing it on 4th and 1. Now, it can get you in trouble where say you're backed up and it's 4th and 9 and you're on your own 5 and you're still going for it. I get it, but also you're in high school and you have a high school punter. Like, what's your best outcome? Well, best outcome is what? He punts it out to the 45 and you get a stop. I mean, that doesn't really change the percentage of times that your opponent is going to score a touchdown. Not really. In the worst case scenario, it gets blocked and you either get a safety or the other team gets a touchdown. It's bad all the way around. A couple shout outs. Rohan Kumar, London, England. What's up? Purple Rain, Wausau, Wisconsin. Travis, watching from Flake. What up? Jerry Gill, Albany, New York. Seat of Power, Empire State. What up? Let's see here. Marcus Butler, Jackson, Mississippi. What up? I'm going to Jackson. All right, you guys are the best. Thanks for coming along. Daily Jeromes live stream. Last one of the week. Go for audio greatness. Would Cousins rather have a Super Bowl or another $45 million guaranteed 2023? Well, he's obviously going to say Super Bowl, but I think if you got him in a private moment or gave him a polygraph or gave him some sodium pentothal, He'll save the money. He would. And I think a lot of players would. $45 million to, a multi-deca millionaire is still a lot of money. Leonard, 2006. Trading for Jimmy Butler and getting rid of Zach is one of the worst trades from Minnesota from a Bulls fan. Yeah, Zach LaVine. So it basically came down to the Wolves picking between Zach LaVine and Andrew Wiggins, and they picked wrong. They definitely picked wrong. Derek Baker, topic. Draft day trolls. Have the Vikings ever picked a player mainly to prevent a rival from getting that player and perhaps to set up a future trade with that rival? Probably not to that level, but you definitely do maneuver at times. You don't go out of your way, but interesting situation. So say the Bears at 20 and the Packers at 30 or 29, whatever. And the Bears may just take Kadarius Toney because they don't want to have him slip to Green Bay and play him twice a year. It may be something as simple as that. Zayan Jamil, rate the best 3 prospects at each position and estimate where you think they will go. By the way, love the videos, man. All right. Lawrence Wilson, Lance. I said it. Lawrence Wilson, 1-2. Lance. I think his floor is 9 with the Broncos, barring them making a deal, which I don't think they're going to be. Running back. Etienne. No, I'll put Etienne first. Najee Harris. I think they both could go late first. And then the UNC running back. I put him top 50. Yeah, top 50. Wide receivers. Chase, Waddle, Devontae. I think Chase will go top 5. Waddle will go top 10. And Devontae could go top 14. Base. Let's see. Tight end. Pitts, 1, top 10. Freiermuth, 2, top 40. And then the Notre Dame tight end, second round area. Let's see. Tackles. Penne, top 3. Slater, top 10. Darisaw, top 20. Guard. Slater. No. AVT, first round. Dickerson. I'll just put general interior offensive lineman. So Dickerson, top 50. Where are my rankings? Why am I blanking right now? I guess if you include Slater at guard, that would make sense. Although I don't. No. Dick. Wyatt Davis got smacked around because of the injury. But I'll say Wyatt Davis, top 50. Edge rusher. Kwity Paye, top 15. Aziz, top 20. Rousseau, top 20. Phillips, first round. We'll go with that. Defensive tackle. 3 tech. We'll go with that. So Barmore, top 20. Nixon. No. Onwuzurike, top 40. Nixon, top 50. Nose tackle. Well, it really is just Shelvin. Shelvin, second round. Tommy Tungai, Ohio State, second round. And I like Daryl Slayton. I know that everyone doesn't, but I'll say Slayton, fourth round, somewhere in there. Linebacker. Yeah, so we included edge. All right, so off-ball linebacker, Parsons, top 10. Joke. top 25. And Zaven, first round. Cornerback, Farley, top 8. Surtain, top 15. Horn, top 20. Safety, Morig, first round. Jevon Holland, top 50. And Richie Grant, second round. Somewhere in there. And kicker, who cares? Next up, thoughts on Keelan Cole. Thoughts out tomorrow. I'm sort of in, but I think that he's going to get more money than you would expect because he had a phenomenal 2020 season. Mitchell Anderson, are you planning a potential free agent target video on Carl Lawson? Maybe. Miles, what do you see the Vikings doing in free agency? Nothing. Now, they'll probably clear up cap space. They'll probably cut Rudy. They'll probably cut Stefan. They'll probably rework some deals, and they'll sign, I don't know, like a mid to late market wide receiver like D.D. Westbrook. They'll bring in a second tier offensive lineman like Ethan Posich or Forrest Lamp or Austin Blythe. They'll probably sign a guy like Shelby Harris. Maybe they'll bring in a guy like Will Parks at safety that they've wanted for a while. That's really about it. It would be nice if they made a big splash. They certainly could do it if they want to, but I don't really see it happening. Chris Danny Hansen. Did you see the Ryan Ficken interview? No. Let me guess. He said, well, we're going to play better. We're going to do better with field position. We're going to make sure we take care of the football. And at the end of the day, we're just going to try and do our best and try and improve every single day. Probably something like that. Tommy Johnson. Chances of an upgrade wide receiver 3 coming through the draft. I'm not talking about Devontae Smith. Nice pipe dream, Daniel Jamar. We're a few day 2, day 3 guys that the Vikings should be in. Hopefully, punt return experience as well. Jalen Darden, North Texas. Dwayne Eskridge, Western Michigan. Row the boat. Oh, not so much row the boat anymore. Rondale Moore could slip into the second round, but that'd be out of range. Marcus Stevenson from Houston. Cade Johnson from South Dakota State University, go Jackrabbits. Josh Palmer is a guy that I really like as well. God, there's so many just really... Daz Newsome from UNC. Sage Surratt from Wake Forest. They're just a massive amount of really talented wide receivers in this draft. And as hyped as last year's wide receiver draft was, this one might be deeper. It legitimately might be. It's just really sick. Jay Remmer, why did John Wade fall so much? Well, he got exposed. So last year, he was phenomenal because he was allowed to just play the slot when he had Arnett and Jeff Okudah at Ohio State. So Sean Wade this year kicked outside, and he's not an outside corner. He's just not. Now, respect, like slot cornerback is a premium talent, and it is one of the harder jumps from college to the pros. But yeah, he's not an outside cornerback guy, so that depresses his value quite a bit. I think that he could potentially move to safety. That would make a lot of sense. But yeah, there's just way too much horrible tape on Sean Wade out from this year. I'm frankly surprised that he declared, because I think that he could have really improved his draft stock if he would have had a better season next year. But yeah, he came in to 2020 as a projected first round pick. I would be shocked if he goes before round 3 now. Perp. Any chance we fill that safety spot through free agency? Maybe. Like a guy like Will Parks, we talked about the Vikings have had eyes for before. Maybe that finally happens. Taishan Gibson, even though he's 31, I thought that I've always respected his game with the Bears. I always thought that he was a nice compliment to Cheeseburger Eddie Jackson. So that would make sense. Plus, he would be cheap. Haha, Clinton Dix. Make it happen. Max Kallenberg. What do you think is more important, defensive tackle or edge? And what do you think we will do between those two? Given the composition of the Vikings' current roster, I would say defensive tackle. Yeah. I think that the Vikings will sign a mid-level free agent, and then also they'll draft defensive tackle day 2. Edge, I think barring Kwity Paye at 14, I think that they'll push it off and they'll get an edge in the 3rd, 4th round. Banyai Catalan, we may not like it, but isn't Cousins to 49ers for Jimmy G and a pick Zimmer's dream move? Now, because I'm sure that he thinks that Jimmy G sucks too. Now, Jaimo Kugan. Unpopular opinion, I liked Sam Bradford trade. He was good when he was healthy. Hindsight is whatever. Well, yeah, I mean, you traded for another team starting quarterback a week before the season for a first and conditional fourth. And Bradford, he's sort of up and down 2016, sort of expected. But, I mean, that week 1 game against the Saints at US Bank Stadium with, Dalvin's debut, where he ran for a $127, I want to say. But Sam Bradford in that game dropped dimes, like absolute 10-cent piece. Woo. Like some of the best throws I've ever seen a Vikings quarterback throw. And then, he got hurt. And then the Case Keenum magic carpet ride. But yeah, Sam Bradford, I mean, that's one of the big what ifs. Like if Sam Bradford could have stayed healthy, he honestly could have been one of the better quarterbacks in the league. B. Woodall. I'm a Titans fan, and I hate the fact that Wentz is going to the Colts, not even for a first. Yeah, that kind of gave him away, man. But that's more on the Eagles. The Dark Knight, 5 Guys or In-N-Out? In-N-Out. Every time we go to LA, got to have In-N-Out. Favorite movie? I guess it'd be Ocean's 11, the Clooney Brad Pitt one. I think it might be the most quotable movie of all time. Or certainly up there. But, if we're just working and we just want something on the screen and we're sort of depressed about the news, we'll just put one of the Ocean's 11 movies on, or, 12, 13. Just because. So I've recently become I guess I've always been very annoyed by movies that drag just because they're trying to hit that 2-hour mark. Movies do not need to be 2 hours, right? If you can't tell a coherent story in 90 minutes, it's a bad story, right? There's so much fluff. There's so much things dragging on. And that's why I love that we now have controls where, skip ahead 10 seconds. That's why I do like watching things on mobile more than, actual TV, especially TV shows where you can have TV shows where you can just completely eliminate characters and the story would be better. So the show Billions, show I'm really big on, right now, you could completely eliminate Wendy from the show and it'd be a better show. I don't like Wendy. I think that she pretends to be earnest, but she is the most manipulative person on the show. She really is. Favorite YouTube channel besides yours? I guess like informational channels. So like Food Insider, Business Insider. Those are always good. Sometimes if you want to get all conspiratorial, we like the Dark 5 channel. It's good. There's a poker vlogger named Andrew Neem, who's really good. And other than that, that's about it. Westworld, how would you summarize Andrew Luck's career? What if? What if his body didn't take that beating? I mean, that Colts team, they're a solid team right now. And yeah, just it's real unfortunate what happened, getting his body beat up. Then, of course, the shoulder. And yeah, luckily, he's a guy that has other life interests. And so say Peyton Manning's career went down that path where body got beat up, had to retire early. How old was Andrew Luck? Like 28? Somewhere in there. So you have guys like Peyton Manning that were all in on football and it was all that they wanted to do and really put the blinders on and had no other outside interest per se. I think that would have been a rough transition. Where you have a guy like Andrew Luck who was like an engineering major at Stanford, absolute architecture and like concrete nerd. And yeah, he was ready for life after football. Also, he lived abroad because his dad, Oliver Luck, I believe worked in energy. So he was all over the place. So I think that worldview really helped. Where, yeah, if not saying that Luck didn't take football seriously, but if you had someone who was absolutely all in and they only lived and breathed for football, that would have been tough. It would have been. Stan Lamaros, after free agency draft, if our O-line and D-line respectively look like this, you win. Ezra Slater, Dickerson, Warford, Larry Warford, O'Neal, Wanham, Weaver, Nixon, Pierce Hunter. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. What happened to Bradbury? Siona Gona, Darisaw, Slater, Fields, Parsons, Pay, and Rousseau all available at 14. Who do you pick or to trade back? I would trade back because a team would probably give up a lot to get Fields ahead of the Patriots at 15. But if you had to pick, would you take Fields with the idea to trade him? Might. But if I had to pick one to actually play on the team, I would take Darisaw. It's really close, though. Miles, who would be the best player to go to space with? Probably, well, I would bring Stephen Weatherly back because the dude is like no, I would take Josh Dobbs because he is a legit rocket scientist. Yeah, I was going to say Weatherly because he's smart, but no, if you can get someone who's actually a rocket scientist, I would go with that. But current Viking, ugh. No one. I don't know, maybe Dalvin. Because, hell, if we're going to die in space, at least we'll have a good time. Because, Dalvin seems like good people. Seems like we would have a lot of laughs. Miles. Who's the best player at their position on the Vikings? Hunter. Yeah. Stanley Morris. Now I see a stark difference with players being cut versus a post-June 1st cut. What's the drawback of making a player a post-June 1st cut? Because of none, why wouldn't every team? So, if you cut a player, like all of the chickens of the future dead cap come home to roost right away, right? So, if you have a player that has a signing bonus where it's prorated over the future years, that all comes due on the cap this year. Now, if you designate a player a post-June 1st cut, or if he's cut after June 1st, novel concept, then you can keep the proration going. So, say that you had a player that signed a 5-year deal with a $10 million signing bonus. He played 2 years. He's got 3 years left, but you cut him. So you do have $6 million left prorated over the last remaining years. Now, the guaranteed money is probably gone, so you have to deal with that 6. Now, you can take all 6 right now on the year that you cut him, or you can still have it prorated 2 over the next 3 years. Now, the drawback is that, you have to deal with it in future years, so you still have to calculate it in. Where if you're under the cap, or if you're set up to deal with the cap now, like it's not bad. Take the 6, take your lumps, and you're free and clear for the next 2 years. So that's why teams do it, because the idea of continually just kicking the can down the road and having dead cap on your books for future years, that's no bueno. If you can pay the toll, do it now, even though there's no interest on the money. Well, actually, it is like negative interest since the cap essentially goes up every year except for this year. Yeah, about that. But then that goes into a whole theories and stuff. But no, if you're able to take care of the dead cap now, just take your medicine and then move on. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's the Daily Jerome's live stream. Thanks very much for the Qs. Hopefully we got a couple A's out there. That's it for the week as well. We'll be back Monday. Subscribe for Daily Vikings takes and take care of yourself. Have a good weekend. Hopefully get warm. Skull. Production value.